did a teacher do that made you immediately transfer schools? Mrs. Jenkins was obsessed with punctuality beyond any reasonable measure. She'd lock the classroom door exactly when the bell rang and mark you absent if you were even 30 seconds late. She had this massive analog clock on her desk that she'd stare at like a hawk, counting down the final seconds before slamming that door shut with this satisfied expression. Her classroom had become legendary among students for all the wrong reasons. Kids would literally sprint through the hallways, shoving past underclassmen, diving through her doorway like they were escaping certain death. I had maintained perfect attendance for 3 months straight until one Tuesday morning when our school bus broke down on Highway 12. The engine just completely died, black smoke billowing everywhere, 40 freezing kids stranded on the side of the road. The replacement bus took 25 agonizing minutes to arrive, and morning traffic was backed up for miles in both directions. I sprinted across campus like my life depended on it, backpack bouncing violently against my spine, dodging slower students in the hallway, taking stairs 3 at a time. I reached her door at exactly 8:01 a.m., literally 60 measly seconds late. 60 seconds. The door was locked tight as Fort Knox. I could see her through the window, teaching like absolutely nothing had happened, pointing at her whiteboard with this smug little smile playing on her lips. I knocked softly, mouthing sorry, desperately, and pointing at my watch, then holding up my official late bus slip from the main office. She walked over slowly, deliberately taking her sweet time, looked me dead in the eyes through the glass, and mouthed back with exaggerated lip movements. Should have left earlier, sweetheart. Planning is everything. Fine, whatever. I went to the main office, got another official late slip, explained the bus breakdown situation to 3 different secretaries who all rolled their eyes knowingly when I mentioned Mrs. Jenkins's name, and figured I'd just take the single absence. No big deal, right? I was so incredibly wrong. When I checked my grades that evening on the student portal, she'd marked me absent for the entire week, Monday through Friday, all zeros across the board like I'd vanished from existence. My carefully maintained 98% grade average dropped to 76% overnight. Months of perfect work completely destroyed. I emailed her immediately, being super polite and respectful. Hi, Mrs. Jenkins. I think there might be a grading mistake with my attendance. I was only late once due to the documented bus breakdown. Could you please check? Her response came back in exactly 15 minutes. Chronic lateness shows fundamental disrespect for education and disrupts the learning environment. This consequence will teach you responsibility and proper time management. Consider it a valuable life lesson. Chronic lateness? It was literally my first time being late all semester. I had perfect documentation from transportation. The next morning, I decided to be proactive. I arrived at school at 7:15 a.m., 45 minutes early. I sat outside her classroom in the hallway doing calculus homework, eating a granola bar, waiting like a dedicated student. She arrived at exactly 7:20 a.m. with her usual grande Starbucks coffee and thick stack of papers. She saw me sitting there cross-legged on the floor and immediately frowned. What exactly are you doing here? Waiting for class, Mrs. Jenkins, making absolutely sure I'm not late. She checked her watch dramatically. The building doesn't officially open for students until 7:30 a.m. You're trespassing on school property. I stared in complete disbelief. But the doors are open. Other students are here. I'm just doing homework quietly. Rules are rules, she said, pulling out her phone. Security needs to escort you off campus immediately. Then she actually called campus security on me for arriving early to avoid being late, after punishing me for being late once, while being escorted away by 2 genuinely confused guards. I hear her telling Mr. Rodriguez, some students just cannot follow simple rules no matter what. The guards kept asking what I'd done wrong. Nothing, I said. I arrived early for class. That's it? That's literally it. They walked me to Principal Martinez, shaking their heads the entire way. He took one look at this absurd situation, checked Mrs. Jenkins's attendance records, and discovered she'd been systematically flagging students absent for being 30 seconds late. That afternoon, my parents and I were completing official transfer paperwork. Turns out she'd been reported 17 times that semester for similar power trips. 3 other families had already transferred out. She's teaching driver's education at the community college now. Principal Martinez told me 6 months later when I ran into him at Target. Perfect fit, honestly.